Hey everybody, so last time we got it to where we could update the X, Y, and Z position, which is pretty cool and makes me happy. The next step is where this is a really good time to like kind of come in and just do some reality checks, make sure that everything set ourselves up for success in the future. So what I'm first thing I'm gonna do is first thing that's obvious to me is this add mesh uh, functionality is not particularly like it's not going to last over time. That you can't add, you can't just, we just can't just keep adding attributes over here. Um, so I think the right thing to do at this point would be to um, pass in a mesh item to the addMesh in order for it to be able to for it to be able to update. So what I'm going to do is instead of const mesh item equals, I'm going to instead of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say mesh item and I'm going to declare it as a mesh interface, and I'm just going to set it up straight away. And I don't know the ID at this point, so I'm just going to set that up to -1. And then I'm going to give it an X position. I'm going to default it to 0. And a Y position, same deal. Default it to 0. And a Z position, and I'm going to default that to 0. And then that's what I'm going to pass into the 3JS service instead, the mesh item. And that's going to break stuff. So we're going to come over here to the 3JS service, and we're going to tell it that it's going to get something called mesh item, which is a mesh interface. And what it's going to do then is we're no longer going to declare it there, and we are going to set its ID at this point. And that ID is going to be equal to the mesh ID that gets created on line 50. Like that. And we're going to set the mesh position equal to the mesh items X position. And probably should just call update position at this point. Yeah, we could just call this dot mesh this dot update and give it the mesh item. And then we won't even have to worry about keeping that in sync. And then we're going to push that mesh to that, which that order of operations matters. So we need to we need to push this mesh to the mesh list before the update mesh tries to get it from the list. So that should be good. And then yeah, we'll just return the mesh item, and everything should work perfectly fine. Perfect. That's awesome, Blossom. So that's a nice improvement. I think definitely improves things. I think we can now go ahead and get rid of all of this code that we did that was just kind of to bootstrap us to so that we could get rolling and have something cool to look at. And this is a good time to get rid of that because that stuff will just come back. That's, I don't know what they call tech debt. It's just going to come back and bite us in the future. We needed it so we could show off and get a cool uh, thumbnail early in the process, but CY is -2. -2. And so that's good. So now the next big thing is we need to, the toolbox needs to be a toolbox. It doesn't need to be what it doesn't need to be is a mesh management system. So we need to create a mesh management system. So I'm going to come in here, or a component. I'm going to create a one-time use command called mesh m for mesh management, and it's going to be an ng generate component mesh manager. That's probably a good name. And we want that to be a child in the toolbox. And that's easy to change later. And so we want to run that bad boy. And what we'll do is we will get a new component called mesh manager right here. And so we need, since this is standalone, we need to pull it in, we need to import it. And so we'll just get this name mesh manager component, and we will come up here and we will add that as an import. I don't know why that just doesn't feel right to me, but because it's not really like a module. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I guess they got to do what they got to do. Okay, so now we want to take this app mesh manager and just make sure that we can render it. So we'll just throw this at the top of the toolbox. Mesh manager, there we go. Mesh manager works. Woohoo! All right, so now we're going to grab everything that mesh manager would render. I grab all of this, and this is going to break everything. This is what we live for right here. That's going to be fine, but in here, in this template, we're going to replace that with this. And like just, yeah, things are just going to break. And so now we're going to go in our toolbox and we'll start moving stuff over. We know we're going to need to import everything but the mesh manager component into our toolbox. Into our mesh manager. So I'm just going to copy everything and then remove this guy, and then just use this to start bringing stuff in. And we're good. And then so we have a complaint that addMesh does not exist. Okay, so we need to bring in our 3JS service. We really need all of this stuff here, so I'm just going to grab it all and put it at the top right under our export, and we'll import that, import this, and import this. And that comes from ArcsJS. And so we'll see what happens now. Still upset about addMesh now. Oh, and inject is not. So let's go ahead and import that from Angular Core. All right, so that looks good. Now we need to let's just go ahead and grab this constructor. And we don't need this here anymore. So we'll come over here and we'll put that in there. And then we need to import effect, and that comes from Angular Core. And then let's move on down. Okay, we need to move this over, and we don't need this over here anymore. And we're gonna do that. Okay, I'm just gonna hit pause. This is gonna take a little bit longer than we normally want to go, but unfortunately we're out of time. And so this implements, and then we need to pull that in from here on destroy, and then on destroy, and we're good. And then let's go back over here. Let's just grab all of these functions think we need any of these functions anymore. Over here, and we'll bring them all over here. And we need our form group. We need our form control. Let's see where we're at. And pretty good. I mean, we need our styling. So let's go ahead and go to our style sheet over here, and we need all of these guys here. So let's see what happens if we pull that. Should be fine. And then we come back over here into our TypeScript. I mean, into our mesh manager, and I don't know if that's going to work. No, that worked. Okay. So then, and let's see if our overflow works. Yep, our overflow works great. So I think we can go back into Toolbox and just get rid of this stuff. We don't need that anymore. And we don't need our imports anymore, except for our mesh manager. And our styles are clean as a whistle. And then our, let's see, I think that is beautiful. We're definitely going to probably want to put tabs or something around that. And let's see, let's look at this. This looks good. And then that. And this is a great time to like fix white space issues and stuff. Since we're going to have a massive Git destruction, so we don't have to worry about creating confusing Git commits, because everything's moved. And I think we're back. We're back, baby. Let's see. This did take a little longer. I apologize. It's just one of those things where we can't, there's just, I couldn't get it done in that amount of time. There's just a lot of stuff to do. But anyways, yeah, so we did two things. We made our mesh, addMesh a little better because of that. We still have to clean this up a little bit. We probably need to move our form group creation into its own little thing. I mean, this addMesh does a lot of stuff that it probably shouldn't be doing. It's a little bit more complicated than it should be. And probably literally the vast majority of what it does is this. And then like calls a function to do this and calls another function. And that's probably about it. Maybe this. Maybe it should get a form back or something. But anyways, yeah, so that is our first round of cleanup. It took a little longer than I like. We're at 13 minutes and 30 seconds. But I think it was well worth it. And happy coding, everybody. This thing's coming along nicely. Bye.